Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome again on the show Autour du Cacao, le podcast qui va au-delà du chocolat. It's a pleasure to have here for the first time. Actually, it's the second time, but let's say it's the first time to have Benjamin from African Cocoa Stories. Uh, like the importance of the narrative of the cocoa is something that most of the case we don't talk about it, but you want to bring the reality actually of the field. So, welcome on the show, Benjamin. How are you?
Thanks, Willie, for having me here. And thanks once again for having me on this podcast. It's a very beautiful experience joining you to discuss Coco. I'm doing very fine. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing very fine. It's Monday. It's a holiday, so we can have an interesting discussion. So let's dig right into it. Let me tell us, Benjamin, what is your story? Where this work come from?
So, my name is Benjamin Setor Badago. I'm from the Volta region of Ghana. My hometown is the Boys Camp. It's close to the Ghana Togo border. But I didn't grow up there. I wasn't born there. I didn't grow up there. I grew up in the eastern region of Ghana, where there is a lot of forests, about 74 kilometers away from Accra. So where I live, there's a lot of forests, and forest zones are the ideal environment for the production of cocoa. And
Definitely.
so I grew up. I was born in a community where there's a lot of cocoa farmers, but I didn't know anything about cocoa farming beyond the fact that people in Ghana produced cocoa, and then the world loved Ghana's cocoa. It's premium cocoa. But after my university studies in Cape Coast, I had the chance to meet with a researcher called Christy Leslie. Dr. Christy Leslie is well known in the industry. And we traveled about, several miles, thousands, hundreds of miles away from my home to the western north region called Adieso, almost on the Ghana Togo border, Ghana Ivory
Okay.
Coast border.
Okay.
For the first time, I was working as a field research assistant, and then also an interpreter of language. And so my job was to translate the language of English that my researcher spoke into Tree. That's the cocoa farmers that she was interviewing were speaking. And that was the first time that I was fully immersed into the lives and histories of cocoa farmers. And so suddenly I had developed an understanding of the cocoa farming beyond what the activities that I saw around me. And I was very curious about cocoa farmers. And so when I returned from the field trip, I continued to work with her on an ad hoc basis. But I developed this curiosity to explore stories of cocoa farmers. I wanted to know more about them. All the cocoa farmers that were lived around me were suddenly different. I just perceived them differently. But after a while, I just realized that the stories that I was living in, the neighbors of cocoa farmers that the neighbors that I saw around me, those stories were not what I was seeing on the internet. And that is where the desire to change that is how the seed of African cocoa stories was
And this
born.
is how African cocoa story is born. So let's tell us what is concretely on the field African cocoa stories.
African Cocoa Stories is a platform that is using stories from the cocoa supply chain to connect the people in the consuming world with those who are on the ground producing cocoa. The problem that is being solved here is that many chocolate lovers, chocolate eaters are disconnected from the culture here because they live far away, and so their love for chocolate and then the curiosity for the people in the supply chain is what I'm trying to sort of feed into by giving them the stories from here.
So why do you think storytelling, especially through visual, is so crucial into the cocoa sector?
That's a very good question. Thank you so much, Willie. I'll tell you something. When I began the project, it was a writing project. A part of me wanted to develop my writing skills, so I wanted to write about cocoa farmers. But after I published my first story on AfricanCocoaStories.com in 2023 January, I had a strong feeling that it wasn't going to do an amazing work. I mean, people are going to love the stories, but what I felt was that they had to imagine what it is like on the ground in order to appreciate it. And I didn't want people to be imagining things. I wanted people to see things for themselves. and that is how the visual aspects came in. So I got a camera. My mentor bought me a free camera, my first digital camera, and then I started using it. So I just take photos that I felt really would connect a human being to a human to another one, no matter how different their culture is. And that is how the visual aspect began. And that is important because people live in very different contexts. They interpret things differently. But once you add visuals, then they can feel more connected. I think writing is one level of connection, but the photography and videography are also another level that bring us much more closer than just the text. So yes, that's why I use visuals in my storytelling.
So first stories in 2003, you said. Um, how long have you been existing now?
Yeah. So the first story actually came in 2013. African Cocoa Stories has been alive since 20. Did I say 2013? No, 2023. Yeah, so
Okay, 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 okay.
African Cocoa Stories has been alive since 2022.
2 years.
Yes, so 2022 is when I began. So 2022, 23, 24, 25. So we are about 3 years in now. Yeah, so that is how long I've been around.
Okay, and how can you measure your impact? What are your metrics?
It's hard to say. I am more on the qualitative side. I just listen to what people are telling me as feedback. Right? What do people tell me when I share these stories? For example, and there's a reason why you reached out. And that is a signal to me that I am doing something good. I happen to deliver stories on during chocolate tasting, virtual chocolate tastings, and each time that I finish telling the story, every single person who listens to my story is happy that they get to meet cocoa farmers the way that I present them, because mostly what they are used to hearing is more on the negative side. And so anytime they hear my story, they are happy that there is something different, positive out there that they are getting access to. And that is enough feedback for me, yeah.
I do understand. So, what is the value chain of your media? How you earn money?
Okay, so the the reality is that for now I am more of now building, and so how to earn money is not something that I've really been able to concretize yet. But there are amazing people funding out of their pockets the projects that I am doing. They support me through my Substack newsletter, and that is one of the main ways that I am being supported. But aside that, there's a lot of support that I get from many people in my network. I'm talking about friends, I'm talking about family, I'm talking about mentors who see a lot of value in the work that I'm doing. So yes, most of the work that I'm doing now is being funded out of my pocket. But as it grows, as the story becomes more interesting, of course, there's going to be a way that I'm going to find. We are going to make some value out of it beyond. But my desire is to keep it as it is without having to get people to pay me for stories. That's my desire. Yeah.
But then you have to live also to bring us those amazing stories.
Yes, I do understand. You see, I get these stories from people who are willing to share their lives with me without having to ask me for money, right? And so what I want to avoid is to commoditize something that I am getting for free because people are good. And that is like a beautiful thing that I want to maintain. But I think my other work, which is consulting for um, clients who me to tell stories for them in order for them to sort of increase their supply chain transparency, is what funds me as an individual, and I want to channel that into the work as much as possible. So my source of income is different from the African Cocoa Storage Project asset now. And as I said, I am building, right? I'm building now, and so once I find something more, um, a way that people would pay me for a specific value, yes, I'm going to work out so that it can be sustainable. But for now, we are just building to see how much value we can actually bring to the table. Yeah.
Sure. So we can imagine that every story is different, and you've been there for 2, 3 years now. Do you have one or two stories that really blows your mind away? About the how cocoa farmers are living.
Okay. I think the first story that comes to mind always is one that's one that I experienced even before starting African Cocoa Stories. I think it's one of the stories that made me feel like, nah, Benjamin, people have to know some of these things, right? And so I was traveling with my boss then, Christy Leslie, Dr. Christy Leslie, on the field once, and we met this young man. His name was Razak. I say his name was because unfortunately he passed away shortly after we met him. And while we were interviewing, I felt this huge passion on the side of this man about the farming of cocoa. Sometimes he would just organize like free training sessions for his fellow colleagues, fellow cocoa farmers in his community. Sometimes he would just go and help people because he just wanted to help people. It's something that he just loved doing. But one thing that he said when we went to his farm, and then we saw a cocoa farmer that had been struck, a cocoa pod that had been struck by a disease. He was like, anytime I see like my cocoa trees get sick, I also feel sick. Right? It was something around that, and so that's kind of passion for his work was something that until that time I had never like heard from any farmer before, and I had never heard that kind of expression from any farmer before. So when he said that, until today, it's still stuck in my mind, and I don't think I'll ever forget it as long as I'm telling some of these cocoa farming stories. So yes, that is Razak's story is one thing that I'm really happy to have encountered.
And so, exactly like these stories that you just tell us, how do you make sure that you co-create with the farmers because you want to tell their stories, but also you can, let's say, fantasize. You could have fantasized the story,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, yeah. So there's something that I'm trying to achieve with African cocoa stories, and that is to bring people closer to the community. Right? People are separated by a vast ocean away. They live like oceans away from Africa, and they also are distant from the continent because of their culture or because of the cultures that they live in. And so my aim is to always find a way of bringing them closer. And I don't want to tell stories about. I don't want to tell fiction. I didn't start this story to tell fiction. So I tried to. I wanted to bring people into the real lives of real cocoa farmers. Now, talking about co-creation, one of the things that I avoided or I avoid is just interviewing a cocoa farmer and then just telling stories about them, right? And so an interview is not enough for me to tell a story about cocoa farmers. I live with them in their environment. I go to farm with them to experience their work on the or to experience them work on the farm. I sometimes no, I many times go and actually work on their farm with them. So I don't just go and then watch them work like many people would go and watch them work and then film, but I work with them, and then while I am working, I'm taking my photographs and filming. So I'm not like a passive person when I'm on the farm. And by doing that, I learn aspects of their story that may never be revealed through the interview. So at the end of the day, any story that I put out there is really from a very intimate and very close interaction with the farmers that I get and that I bring to people. So at the end of the day, it's not just a passive storytelling thing; it's really an active engagement that breeds these stories.
Are you working by yourself today, or you have a team?
No, for now, I work by myself. I work by myself, but I'm not alone. I am supported by an amazing group of people. Shout out to James. Shout out to my own amazing girlfriend, Ellie Plim, my mentor, the lad. These are all amazing people who I have like a family of people behind me who are looking at my work and cheering me on and then giving some kind of what do you call amazing feedback and also sort of pushing me when I'm trying to go a little bit low. So yeah, these are all amazing people. I do the field work alone, but there are all amazing people who are behind me, supporting me and
Behind the
making sure
scene?
that yeah, behind the
Yeah.
scenes, yes.
So we say hi to everyone behind the scene of African
Yes.
cocoa
Shout out
stories.
to all of you.
Definitely. So right now, after 2 3 years, would you say what would be the next development of African cocoa storing? Like having a documentary, going to more filming, going in other countries where we produce cocoa or other
Yeah.
region. What
Yeah.
what would be?
It's good you're asking this question. The goal is African cocoa stories, and that is for the whole of Africa. Wherever cocoa is, even if there's one tree in the country, I want to tell the story of the farmer who is managing that tree. So very soon I'll be coming to Ivory Coast, and I'm happy that you are joining. You are here, you are going to make my Ivory Coast trip possible. So very
Sure, sure,
soon at the
sure.
right time, I'll end up in Ivory Coast to tell some stories from there. I want to go to Malawi. I want to go to Togo. I want to go to Congo. I want to go to Cameroon, everywhere, and tell the stories of Africa because I want anybody who loves chocolate to develop a connection with Africa beyond chocolate, right? And that is one of the things that I want to achieve. Aside expanding across Africa, I have realized that while I'm telling these stories, there's a lot of opportunity for research that I haven't that hasn't been explored yet. So there are many issues on the ground that I encounter that are vastly different than what is represented in the media. And so I want to I want to delve into that aspect of research where I use my skills as a researcher to now bring up issues and understand issues from the from a point of view of cocoa farmers, and then the industry stands to get benefit. So storytelling is one thing. I'm starting with that now, but then storytelling paves the way for more research, and I'm happy to delve into that one.
Okay, this is the perfect transition. So, talking about the research and let's say dark points, here in Autour du Cacao, we try to be focused and a specialized media on byproducts of cocoa. So, in your
Okay.
stories, have you ever encountered a farmer or group of farmers that are willing, to valorize byproduct by making soap, by making fertilizer, by making anything we do, cocoa juice or anything?
Okay. Yeah. So one of the there's a farmer right across my street. If you have seen Mr. Echampon, I'm sure by now everyone who follows African cocoa stories knows Mr. Echampon. I share many stories of him, and he I gave him a product that is a bar, an energy bar made from cocoa nibs with caramelized cocoa nibs. And when he tasted this, he was like, "Nah, he want to make that. He can make that." And so he was like, okay, one day, I think this season, when the cocoa starts coming up, he's going to get some nibs and then we are going to make it together. And so that is a hint of the interest that a cocoa farmer can have in adding more value to his cocoa. So I'm curious about how this story is going to turn out. I don't know how it's going to turn out, but I want to taste this man's energy bar and then see what we can get out of it. But yeah, there are hints of people who there are people who are interested in adding value to their cocoa products, and I think the work that you are doing is going to make all this possible by opening people's eyes to the possibilities beyond chocolate or the possibilities beyond just the cocoa beans. Yeah.
Yeah, because as we can see here, this is a figure we like to share with people. But so when we say that Ivory Coast is the first cocoa producer, 2 million metric tons a year, it's almost 17 million of cocoa pods, metric tons of cocoa pods that are just wasted. And fortunately, we see more and more project, and this is our job. Let's say, we see more and more project. There is a project that it will be the first in Africa. They aim to produce electricity out of cocoa beans,
Wow.
so they will use it as a biomass. We went last year to a farm, and I will bring it. I will bring you there when you come to Ivory Coast.
Okay. Okay.
We went to this farm, Bandama, so we say hi to Cedric, and they have a solo plantation of 260 hectares, and
Wow.
they successfully extracted the cocoa juice, packaging and selling it into supermarket, uh,
Wow.
and also this cocoa jelly. So it's basically just the juice that they will boil and stuff. So yeah, for me, actually, this journey is also to say that, well, chocolates won't be the elevation of our farmers because they're really far from the chocolate market. It's not consumed here, it's not produced here, and it will be very difficult that the money comes back to them. But in the
Yeah.
same time, there are lots of product, billions of liters of cocoa, millions of tons of cocoa pods that are just wasted. So this is very this is very where we want to go and what
Okay.
we want to achieve.
I love that you say it that way because one of the things that I've observed is that while chocolate is delicious and people enjoy it, Africans really don't think about chocolate until this Valentine's Day, right? In Ghana, at least in my experience, I'm talking specifically my experience. The people around me in rural Africa where I live, they don't think about chocolate until it is Valentine's Day. And there is a supermarket here where I live in Asaman Kese. I recently went there because it was a cocoa farmer's birthday and I wanted to get her chocolate. When I went there, there was no chocolate. And that was when I remembered that there was a stock of chocolate around Valentine's Day. And then after February, March,
No more
when that
chocolate.
stock was deflated, no more chocolate because people don't buy it until that time, right? Until, but the idea is that there is a culture here that cocoa has become embedded in as a cash crop. For now, many cocoa farmers just see it as a cash crop. But there's definitely a way that the crop can be integrated into our culture to develop recipes and things that speak the language that we speak, or speak the food that we eat, or like turn into like things that we see ourselves appreciating on a daily basis. And that is a direction that we can Africans can explore as far as value addition is concerned, in order to resonate with Africans and then increase their market for me. Because the ideal thing is to increase your market locally, and then when people are purchasing your goods locally, then you can have something for exports. Now, there's an interesting group of people that I have met called the Cross Atlantic Chocolate Collective or the Chocolate Rebellion. There is a Loom Craft Chocolate in Nigeria,
Okay,
headed by
interesting.
Uzo. Yeah, yes, Uzo. And then there is Wezi Nzumara from Malawi. And then there is a amount of Mababu chocolate from Tanzania. There's Ohene Cocoa in Ghana. All these people are trying to, while they are making, some of them are making chocolate, they are trying to infuse it with inclusion. African spices are being included in them, right? And so that begins to turn the chocolate into something that Africans would love to consume. It gives it a flavor that Africans are used to, and that's an amazing step, right? So the next step is to now see what else apart from chocolate are we going to make. And there are many options that I think your project should allow people to sort of see and then maybe expand. So yeah, it's a beautiful an addition that you bring to the table.
Yeah, thank you very much. This is our goal. So you were talking about all those people in Malawi, in Nigeria. Do you start, or do you know if there is like an organized group, let's say a community on LinkedIn or WhatsApp of African cocos actor, chocolate African actors? So maybe we can talk with them and see each other and
Okay.
have insights within us, right?
Definitely. So there is I mentioned the Chocolate Rebellion or the Cross Atlantic Chocolate Collective. It's an African Caribbean network where people in amazing people like Gillian Goddard and then Aaron Sylvester. Gillian Goddard is of Sanitas, and then Sylvester Aaron is from Tri Island in Grenada, and then there's also an amazing. Oh man, I'm forgetting it. But I will just tell you what this is about. So these people have built a connection with the African counterparts, especially those who are producing cocoa. And the ideal is to add chocolate making to the CV of cocoa farmers. So they are helping cocoa farmers learn to make chocolate, but also develop that interest in adding value beyond to their farms, beyond just selling of beans. So when you look on Instagram at Chocolate Rebellion, you are going to see their work. But there's also a passionate group of people who are sharing knowledge and just lifting each other up as far as the knowledge around adding value to cocoa is concerned. So yes, you can check them out, and I'm sure they'll be excited to jump on and have conversations with you.
Sure, we will even share the link of their pages. So I wanted to know now, Benjamin, are you working with the government? This is the first question, and it's linked to the second question. Since you are into the field, can you give us hints of the cocoa value chain in Ghana? Because in every country in Africa, and let's say if every country where cocoa grows,
Yeah.
the value chain is different. Here in cocoa, we have a here in Cote d'Ivoire, we have a fixed price. In Cameroon, for example, there is no fixed price. In Nigeria, also. So, okay, do you work with the government, like the cocoa board, mainly? And please give us an overview of the cocoa value chain.
Okay. I think for now, I don't work with any. I don't work with the government. Although I'm looking forward to tell Ghana's cocoa stories from the inside out. So I'm definitely looking forward to connecting with Cocoa Board and then, I mean, trying to understand some of the quality control work that they do. So I have stories that I would want to explore with Cocoa Board, but I don't work directly with Cocoa Board as at the moment. But um, what I know about the cocoa value chain is that, just like you said, it's a bit different from what is happening in other countries. In Ghana, they set the farm gate price of cocoa. The government announces the farm gate price every year at the beginning of every season. This year, I hear this last year it was open, I think, in September. So this year it might be in August,
October 1st.
October,
I mean, you mean in
October.
Ghana?
Yeah, in Ghana, I
Oh,
think
okay, sorry. Okay.
Ghana's was in
Yeah,
September.
it's a little
It used
bit
to be
before,
October.
like it's 2 weeks or 1 week before Ivory Coast, and Ivory Coast is the
Yeah.
1st of October.
Yes, Ghana's used to be October as well, but then I think in recent years it was switched to September. I don't know if it is going to be this the same thing this year, but we will see. So for now, Ghana's government cocoa board sets the farm gates price, and farmers submit all their cocoa to cocoa board at the end of the day. And any external buyer who wants to buy cocoa from Ghana, you will have to buy it through cocoa board, and any value addition process in Ghana also is regulated by Cocoa Board. So whereas in other countries there's more of a sort of a little bit of liberalized market, Ghana's system for now is one that has to be is highly regulated by Cocoa Board. That's the bit that I can share with you for.
Okay, this is interesting because everywhere is different and it have a
Yeah.
different implication. So,
Yes.
have you ever heard of big cocoa farms, like more than 100 hectares, 50 hectares, owned by one people or one group of people instead of many cooperative or many communities, let's say?
In Ghana, okay, as far as my exploration is concerned, okay, where I am now, where I've experienced it now, I haven't seen yet. I haven't seen that yet, but I know of farms that are huge. I know of people who own huge lands, but their lands are being managed by different cocoa farmers, right? So it's not one cocoa farmer managing all the land, but there's a landowner who has let his land out to different cocoa farmers to cultivate cocoa. So let's say it's about 50 acres. One cocoa farmer might be handling about maybe 20 acres or maybe 5 acres. Then maybe other farmers are also handling another set of acres. At the end of the day, all these people report to the same land owner, and then there's it's a crop sharing arrangement. So one at the end of the season, when the yields are up, they go and then they share it based on the arrangement that they make at the beginning of the interactions. Yeah.
Okay, this is perfect. So, Benjamin, since you are an expert of the cocoa field, can you tell us, for the people listening and watching us, what are the biggest challenges? I think, well, we heard sometime, but in your point of view, what would be the biggest challenges for our cocoa farmers into the field?
See
Lack of
what
money, lack of
yeah what
fertilizer.
yeah no one of the glaring challenges that I've seen local farmers face is lack of infrastructure. And I am particular about infrastructure because no matter what attempt you make at bringing improvement to a community, if the foundation, right, if the foundation of life and everything is not intact, everything else it's going to be difficult. Yeah, so a lack of proper infrastructure is one challenge that I have seen. I think the road networks to many farms are not great. That makes it difficult for people to go to their farms when, especially it's in the rainy season, right? And so that makes the farming complicated. If somebody has cocoa on the farm and the road is bad, tricycle riders don't want to go to help them bring the cocoa to the farm, right? And so that becomes a big infrastructure, a big problem that sort of goes becomes an obstacle in the lives of cocoa farmers. So the one thing that I am very particular about is infrastructure, because once infrastructure is dealt with, other things become easier. Yeah, so infrastructure is one thing that I can point to as a challenge.
Okay, perfect. So we cannot talk about challenges without talking about hopes. So, what are your hopes about the cocoa storytelling in Africa, and what would be the next phases for African cocoa stories?
Yeah, so for me, my hope is that first of all, we we in Africa step beyond the whole idea of people coming to buy cocoa before our countries can thrive. Our development should not be based on just the selling of cocoa, and we can do something beyond just selling cocoa beans. I don't know specifically what, but once we start looking at what we can do beyond cocoa beans, then the question then is what else? And I think your work has already started that kind of project where you are looking beyond the beans, you are looking at pulp and all that kind of stuff. So how can we now turn and make more value or make more interesting things for our people first, and then anybody who wants to take something outside can take, because if it is, there's so much cocoa in Africa. There's so much cocoa in Africa. Sometimes I wonder how we ended up. I mean, there's always the story, but I wondered how did we end up becoming 70, producing 70 something percent of cocoa when cocoa is not even from here, right? So once we have ended up in this situation and the advantages to it, we should just try and see how we can maximize with our talent and our skills and everything. And so that is a beautiful angle that I think it should happen. More value created beyond the beans.
More value created beyond the beans. This is exactly the type of messages we want to hear. So maybe one last thing, Benjamin. Um, do you have any message you want to pass to young creative and entrepreneurs? Because what you're doing is a mix of creative media, entrepreneurship, and there is way more you can bring around. So
Yeah.
yeah, please inspire our youth. You know.
Okay. Yeah. So I think even before I even give the inspiration, I want to. I have just remembered some of the people that I was thinking about when you asked about who else you can connect to. I'm actually in the process of working on a podcast with two amazing people. Kwame Kwatin is on LinkedIn. He writes a lot about cocoa farming value chain, the cocoa value chain in Ghana. I don't know if you've seen his work, but he does
Not yet,
amazing.
but please send us the link, please, please.
Definitely. So he writes
Barakuku.
Cocoa Diaries. He writes Cocoa Diaries on Substack, and then also Adelaide Asante is in the UK, and she is also building a project called Chocolate Has a Name, and she is actually creating a chocolate festival in the global north, which is in the UK for now, but it's going to expand into other countries. And so these amazing people are my friends, and I mean interacting with them and sharing some of these conversations with them for a very long time. And we are already working on a podcast called the Cocoa Clinic. Very soon we are going to start seeing our work out there, and then I'm sure you also invite you to come and share some of the things that you are doing, and then we also would end up on your podcast in order to continue the conversation. Yeah,
Yes, yeah, sure. Please
but
share the link. But tell us more about the Coco Clinic. Can you tell us more, please?
all right, I'll tell you
It's a
more. So
brilliant name. It's a brilliant name. First,
yeah,
I love it.
so the idea of Cocoa Clinic. came, I mean, to last year when I had many interactions with Kwame Kwate, and we had very similar observations that we have made about the cocoa industry. I am more on the human experience aspect, and so I don't talk so much about policies and trade. I don't do that kind of conversation a lot. But I spend more time with cocoa farmers, just learning beyond the cocoa farm, what is their life like. That is my experience. And Kwame is an expert of the entire value chain. He knows everything about the policies and everything that runs the entire industry, and he has written extensively about that. And then Adele also is an artist and a trained optometrist, but she's so passionate about using cocoa as an art as a way of connecting people to the world. So the cocoa podcast idea came when we decided that the conversations in the cocoa industry are not as nuanced as we want them to be. Right? There are so many things that people still don't understand about the cocoa industry, especially from the African point of view, or from the cocoa farmers' point of view. And so a discussion where we sort of explore some topics in the cocoa industry and help people appreciate them from the farmer's perspective is something that was very necessary. And so the whole idea of the cocoa clinic was to provide a platform where we took issues and explore how people know it to be, and then go beyond to explore how they actually are on the ground, and then ask questions that people normally don't bother about asking. And so it's a clinic in the sense that we when you come there, it is you are coming for consultation. We want to sort of understand what the problem actually is in order to find proper solutions. So yeah, we look forward to it becoming a very interesting platform in the industry. And when the right times, the links will be available, and then you will see them.
Yeah, with a great pleasure, because I'm sure that if you ask people out of Europe or USA, I'm not sure they can imagine how cocoa grows, and especially that I'm not sure that they know how it's a fruit, you know. So
No,
this type of initiative will do a lot of good to the
definitely,
industry, especially that Africa, let's say, own cocoa production by 70%, right? Ghana
yeah,
and Ivory
yeah,
Coast, yeah,
yeah,
it's like 70%.
definitely.
This is very brilliant. We really hope to see that very soon. And please send us all the links of these
Yes,
different people. And now, please give
the
us a
inspiration.
last words. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So I think one of the things I have learned around in my journey as a storyteller and researcher is believing in your idea and then putting all your energy into the work that will let people see it. Once you have an idea of a change that you want to bring to the world, if you have an idea that would impact the life of even one person, spend a lot of time thinking about it, reflecting on it, but spend a lot of time trying and trying and trying, and then eventually you are going to start building connections that would enable the idea to fly, right? And so creativity, exploring your creativity is a tough work. It is a frustrating work, and I'm on the ground all the time. So there are moments of frustration that I face all the time that I'm sure every creator is going to relate to. But in all those aspects, you should be able to push through it, and at the end of the day, you are going to really be proud of the work that you are doing. That's the first part, right? The second part is don't forget to tell your story. Don't forget, never fail to tell your story is powerful enough, no matter how small, no matter how insignificant you think it is. Your story is powerful enough to change the lives of many people far away. And so, don't hide your story. If you have an amazing story, if you have a beautiful story, if you just have a story, just go ahead and tell it, and the world will be happy that you told it.
yeah, that is amazing, especially that you don't even know what people are out there waiting for you and willing to help you. Because when I reach out to you, I mean, you didn't even think twice. You were
No,
like, yeah, great, let's do this.
and of course,
Of
of
course,
course,
we will do it. And now we will connect with more and more people, just because we both take the initiative to tell our stories. Actually, something that borders you, and to tell our stories. Benjamin,
powerful.
this was This is amazing. And as you can see, people around cocoa, autour du cacao, there is also the storytelling, because this is something that occupies more than 2 million smallholder farmers. They are living into the plantation to bring you this cocoa so you can have a nice chocolate. But there are human beings behind that. And by following African cocoa stories, you can know more and be more sensitive about the cocoa. And when you eat your next chocolate, you'll be thinking, oh wow, how it have been produced, and am I paying the fair price, or what can I do to enhance the value that the cocoa farmer receive? Benjamin, that was a huge pleasure to have you. And please send us the links of everything we just talk about. Send us the link when you will do your podcast, the Cocoa Clinic. We are so we cannot wait to have this. And thank you very much for being part of this.
Thank you so much, really. It has been an amazing pleasure talking to you, and I look forward to many more interactions.
Yeah, thank you very much, and see you soon. And don't forget, follow African Cocoa Stories. Thank
Definitely.
you.